6 people are dead, 86 are injured, and the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, is once again on fire. But this time, it's not Saudi jets in the sky. It's Israel. Yes, Israel has just bombed Yemen. And the question everyone should be asking is, why is a country that's already fighting a brutal war in Gaza opening another front hundreds of miles away in Yemen? Because if you zoom out, this isn't just another headline about Middle East violence. This is the war in Gaza spilling over, turning into a regional conflict. And Yemen, the poorest country in the Arab world, is paying the price. So let's start with the facts. On Sunday, Israeli warplanes bombed the Yemeni capital Sana'a. The strikes hit an oil facility, a power plant, and according to Israel, a presidential palace sitting on a military complex. But here's the reality. That presidential palace has been abandoned for years, which means once again we are watching governments justify attacks on civilians by slapping the military target label on literally anything. At least 6 people were killed and 86 others wounded. And the timing, just 2 days earlier, Yemen's Houthi movement said they launched a missile and drones at Israel, part of the campaign to pressure Israel to stop the war on Gaza. So Israel hit back hard. The Israeli military's official statement was these attacks were in response to repeated Houthi terror strikes against Israel and its citizens. But Houthis aren't backing down. Houthi official Mohammed al-Bukaiti said the Israeli aggression against Yemen will not discourage us from supporting Gaza no matter the sacrifices. In other words, this is just the beginning. So why is Israel bombing Yemen? Let's break it down. The Houthis control most of northern Yemen, including Sana'a. They are backed by Iran. And since Israel's war on Gaza began, the Houthis have been launching missiles and drones toward Israel as solidarity with Palestinians. Now, you might think, wait, Yemen? They are 1,600 kilometers away from Israel. How much damage could they really do? Well, enough to be taken seriously. The Houthis actually claimed to launch a hypersonic missile toward Israel last week, and while Israel intercepted some attacks, even the attempt is a huge symbolic threat. Because if the Houthis can keep Israel looking over its shoulder, it means Israel has to split its military focus between Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and now Yemen. And for Netanyahu's government, that's unacceptable. So what does Israel do? They bomb civil infrastructure in Yemen, oil plants, power stations, government buildings. Because let's be honest, the goal isn't to stop missiles, the goal is to make ordinary Yemenis suffer, to show the world that Israel can hit any Arab capital it wants and to scare the Houthis into backing off. But here's the bigger story. This isn't just about Israel and Yemen. This is about Gaza turning into a regional war. Think about it. In Lebanon, Israel is trading fire daily with Hezbollah. In Syria, Israel is bombing bases and infrastructure. In the Red Sea, the Houthis have been targeting ships they claim are linked to Israel or its allies. And now, Israeli jets are dropping bombs on Yemen's capital. This is no longer just about Hamas. This is Israel versus an entire axis of groups that call themselves the Resistance Front. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, all backed in some form by Iran. And every time Israel escalates, it drags the US deeper into the fight. Because US warships are already stationed in the Red Sea, intercepting Houthi missiles, and Washington is giving full military and diplomatic support to Israel. So when Israel bombs Yemen, guess who looks complicit? America. Which is why Yemen officials are calling this not just an Israeli war crime, but an American-backed war crime. Now, let's pause and remember something crucial. Yemen isn't some regional superpower. This is a country that has already been bombed into the Stone Age by Saudi Arabia and the UAE for almost a decade with US and British weapons. Since 2015, Yemen has lived through one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Millions displaced, millions starving, hospitals destroyed. So when Israel comes in and bombs power plants and oil facilities, it's not just another strike. It's fuel shortages, blackouts, more kids in hospitals with no electricity, more families going hungry. That's why Yemeni officials are calling it barbarism. And think about the optics. Israel is already accused of committing genocide in Gaza, bombing hospitals, refugee camps, power plants. And now it's exporting the same tactics to Yemen. It's like Gaza is no longer a place, it's a blueprint. And here's where the hypocrisy really hits. Western governments keep saying Israel has the right to defend itself. Okay, fine, but defend itself from Yemen, a country 1,600 kilometers away? How is bombing a power plant in Sana'a self-defense? If Yemen launch a missile at Israel, yes, intercepted, that's self-defense. But flying across the region, dropping bombs on civilian infrastructure, that's not defense. That's offense. That's aggression. And yet, you won't hear Washington condemn it. You won't hear European leaders call for restraint. Instead, you'll hear silence or worse, support. Which tells you the truth. When Israel bombs civilians, it's security. When anyone else does it, it's terrorism. The Houthis aren't backing down. In fact, after the strikes, they double down. They say either eternity in heaven or eternity in hell. Translation, they are ready to die fighting Israel. And Hamas immediately praised the Houthis, calling their stance courageous and urging all Arab and Muslim countries to join the fight. So Israel's strategy is backfiring. Instead of isolating Hamas, Israel is actually galvanizing more groups into open conflict. This is exactly what military analysts warned about. The Gaza war could ignite the entire Middle East, and now it's happening step by step. So where does this go? If Israel keeps bombing Yemen, the Houthis will keep firing back. If the Houthis keep attacking Israel, the US will get more involved. And that cycle continues. Yemen, already shattered, becomes the next front in Israel's endless war. Meanwhile, ordinary people in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Yemen, people who have nothing to do with these political games, are the ones dying. And the saddest part, the world barely pays attention because Yemen is in Paris, it is in London, it is in Tel Aviv. It's one of the poorest countries on earth, and poor people suffering doesn't trend. So let's cut through the headlines. This isn't about Houthis versus Israel. This isn't about missiles versus airstrikes. This is about a pattern. Powerful states using self-defense as a shield to bomb weaker nations into rubble. Today it's Gaza, tomorrow it's Yemen, and the silence of the international community is what makes it possible. Because the truth is, if Israel can bomb Sana'a with zero accountability, what's stopping them from escalating further? The Middle East is already on fire, and Israel just poured gasoline on Yemen. So here's the real headline. Israel isn't just at war with Gaza anymore. It's at war with the region, and Yemen, already broken, is the latest casualty.